Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Roundtable. I'm your host, Amir. For today's episode, we got Martel. You can find him at the Miami Heat Zone podcast. We got Trent. You can find him at the Miami Heat Network. And we have a special guest joining the program. And I know we haven't done a roundtable in a while, so we're finally back. And we have a great guest joining us today. We got Dominique, a.k.a. Sports T. How are you doing today, Dominique?
Oh, I'm doing so fantastic. Thanks so much for having me here today, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it too. And before we do get started, you want to let the audience know a little bit about your channel and what you cover?
Sure. I mean, I'm pretty new to this thing here in the YouTube streets, but I pretty much cover the WNBA, the NBA as well. I want to get into more sports eventually, but right now I'm hanging out here in the YouTube streets covering NBA and WNBA.
Awesome. We'll definitely link your channel in our description so our audience can find your stuff.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, and so Dominic, you mentioned offline that you're a Knicks fan and we're Heat fans. And once upon a time, back in the day, we had a rivalry, and I know we played recently in the playoffs a couple seasons ago, and the Miami Heat were able to advance, make it to the finals. We got past the Knicks, and so I want to start off with some Miami Heat news and speculation out there. I'm sure everybody has seen it in the Twitter sphere that there are rumors that Jimmy Butler could get traded, and I think it's all noise, but there is smoke. Usually where there's smoke, there's some fire. But this offseason, he wanted an extension. Pat Riley basically said, we're going to wait and see. You've missed too many games. Every year you miss 20 games with the Miami Heat, so let's take a wait and see approach. And Jimmy's like, that's fine. Like, I don't need an extension. We'll see what happens. And I don't think anything's changed. I think it's just the dog days of the December timeframe in the NBA. And Shams is new to ESPN, and he just wants some eyeballs, some traffic. So they're saying all the same stuff that we've already heard. The Warriors are possibly interested. The Rockets are interested. Jimmy's from Houston. Like, the Brooklyn Nets are the only team that has cap space. So I don't know. There's been a lot of back and forth between Shams and Bernie Lee, Jimmy's agent, saying it's all cap. So what are your thoughts in general about the whole speculation around Jimmy Butler?
Well, I have to say, I think that Jimmy Butler is fantastic. I hope he doesn't leave the Miami Heat just because I feel like his mindset, he's not too concerned with like big contracts. I don't see him leaving the team over $1. I think it's more about, for him, it's going to be about the relationship that he has with the organization. And so I think if they show that they value him, which I believe that they have shown that, but at the end of the day, they're old school. They're not out here just giving people contracts and giving people money just because. Or, Jimmy Butler is also not a guy who, he's not like this huge like ratings draw. I think he's great, and I do think that he's a celebrity in his own way, but I just see, as long as they have a good relationship, front office, and between him and Jimmy, he feels good about his teammates and all of that, I can see him staying. But the chatter is getting louder, and it's getting louder and louder. And so I think that perhaps Miami Heat might want to move off of him because of the injuries and things like that. They don't want to rebuild, so they're going to want to try to get something for him before he gets a little bit too old, a little too unplayable. So that's my thoughts. I hope he doesn't leave, because I feel like he's like the guard version of Haslam,
So how you doing, Dominique? My name is Trent.
Hey, Trent.
What's going on? So you said, you don't want Jimmy Butler leaving, and I think that's fair. But if he does eventually leave and does get traded, is there a specific team that you think he does get traded to, or is there like a team that you would prefer him to get traded to if it's not with the Miami Heat? And then I have a second part, but I'll ask that after.
As long as it's not the Lakers, I'm here for wherever he's going to choose to go. But he had Golden State, I think, as a destination that he was willing to go to. I think for Jimmy Butler, he just needs to make sure that he goes to a warm climate. I don't see him back on the 76ers. I don't want him with Embiid. That's not the right move for him. I think he needs to stay in a warm climate. So if he doesn't stay with the Heat, Houston could be a great landing spot just because they're a young team. They have Ime Udoka. They could be in a position to win instantly if they can capture Jimmy Butler, because even with the injuries, they don't need him all season long. They'll need his experience, his mental toughness come postseason.
And then I actually just thought of another question when he was talking. You said you're a Knicks fan. So Miami and New York, we get matched up 4 times throughout the year, and then most likely we'll probably see each other in the postseason if Miami gets their act right in the regular season if we can be a top 6 seed. How did you feel about the Karl Anthony Towns trade? One, but also, do you think your team's ready enough to, let's say, beat the Miami Heat? Because I think we're still better than y'all, and that's going to be me just talking trash. And then also take the next step and beat the Boston Celtics. Because obviously your front office made these moves to compete against the Celtics. You traded for McHale. You traded Dante. You traded some players away. Do you think your team's ready to take that next step?
No. So I think that those were mistakes, and I think that they were fatal mistakes. You don't trade away chemistry. Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, they all played together at Villanova, my school, and those guys just know how to play basketball. We saw what they could do last postseason together. They were like the little engine that could, minus Julius Randle, a huge contract that they didn't have playing with them. And Dante DiVincenzo, he went and dropped 40 in the postseason. You don't trade that. That's not a guy that you trade, somebody that you can, have come up big, who's coming off the bench that drops 40. You just don't trade that. Not for somebody like Karl Anthony Towns, who has really not shown much, but collapses in the postseason. So to me, all they did was literally trade for the same thing. Julius Randle is a disaster in the postseason, and so is Karl Anthony Towns. And he's soft. So pretty much I see him breaking down come postseason. He's going to have great games in the regular season. He's a regular season player. He's not a postseason player. He's not, a contender. Right now, the Knicks are a pretender. The moves that they've made are pretending to contend. They are not going to make a deep run. I think that they, in fact, get knocked out in the first round, and so did the Timberwolves with that trade, especially if, Julius Randle continues to be healthy. As long as he's playing, he's going to be a hurt to the Timberwolves, not a help come postseason. And Karl Anthony Towns, get your big ass in the paint. Stop playing the perimeter. We don't need you there. Postseason, I don't need you taking a shit ton of threes. Get your ass in the paint and fucking defend. So, I just think that it wasn't good. I'm not on board with the trade. I think that they went back, although I applaud them for making moves. I believe who I believe in for the Knicks is I believe in Jalen Brunson and Rick Brunson. Those guys, they're just the ideas that they have, the way that they're trying to lead this team. I can get behind that, but it's just not enough, unfortunately.
So Dominique, we all know that you don't like the Lakers. Please explain to everybody, what is your beef?
I think Martell's frozen.
He's not.
No, I'm not. What do you mean?
He's not? Okay, but look, so to continue off with the New York Knicks, I love how you said, Karl Anthony Towns has been soft throughout the playoffs, and we all know this too, by the way. I'm not his biggest fan at all. I think he's horrible when it comes to that. But I will say this year, and you said he's a regular season player, and I agree to an extent, but this year he's looking a little different from Minnesota days. I've been watching him play, and he's probably you and Jalen Brunson. Oh, him and Jalen Brunson are probably the top two players on the team, of course. But I just feel like a different type of energy. Like I see him talking a little bit more trash because Karl Anthony Towns' little voice is soft. He little flimsy, like he little like no offense, like he's just a little like a girl. He act like a girl, but since he hit New York, he acting tough. He acting a little gangster. And I think that's something that he needs to bring to the playoffs, and the intensity. That's what the playoffs are. So do you think he could carry that over? And you already kind of answered that question, but I feel like I've been seeing a little bit more from Karl Anthony Towns. And
I agree with you. I agree with you. I want to believe in what I'm seeing right now, that we're, out in us New Yorkers, we're out there calling him Bodega Cat. I want to believe that he can bring that energy to the postseason. It's just I'm on a wait and see with Cat. He also has, Thibodeau. Thibodeau is not going to allow for him to be soft. He's going to push him, and he's going to play him a million minutes, and he's going to run them all ragged, right? So if he doesn't develop some toughness out of that, and even just New Yorkers are going to cut your ass. You don't defend if you don't play hard. That's the main thing. We don't have to win. New York Knicks don't have to win. We never win. It's not about winning for us. It's just we want guys that get out there, put their head down, and work hard every single night. And that's similar to like Miami Heat culture. Miami Heat, I don't know that you guys are looking for a title every year, but you want your team to be watchable. You want them to be out there having a sense of pride, having pride in your hometown, having pride in your teammates like that. These are the things that us New Yorkers want to see. So whether they make, a deep run, my goal for the Knicks is to see them get out of the second round. That's the goal. And so they're not going to reach that goal this season, even with Karl Anthony Towns.
I love that you said that, though. Like, seeing is believing, because he's having a great regular season. What is he now? Year 6, 7? He is what he is. He's not necessarily a finished product, but he's like James Harden. He's like Julius Randle. You've done it in the regular season. You've won All-Star awards, MVPs with Harden, but they choke in the playoffs. His average three-point percentage is 41%. Damn good for a 7-footer. He averages, it's not horrible the playoffs, but 33% in the playoffs. And sometimes, like, he's averaged 13% in an entire playoff round, basically. He's been in the playoffs now a little bit more with the resurgence of Anthony Edwards. And obviously the team has gone better over time, but still, like, he hasn't done it in the playoffs. So I agree with you that he needs to show that. And again, the game has changed. Like, I love how you said, get your ass in the paint. Like, play defense. He doesn't play defense. He's not a two-way player. And he doesn't play in the paint. All he does is shoot threes. And that's why the NBA ratings are down right now. Worst across any sport, even hockey or baseball, sports I don't even care for or really watch, are growing like crazy. NFL is one of the best products, but basketball is going down. I think part of that is the 3-point shot. And he's part of that problem. So I love that you mentioned that.
Huge part of that problem.
So like I was saying, Dominique, please explain to everybody, why don't you like LeBron? Just explain, what is LeBron James doing with Bronny and, Bryce possibly coming in and with the whole clutch thing and like the Lakers. Just explain like your point of view on that. Cause there's a lot of people that might ask, why don't you like the Lakers and why don't you like LeBron James?
Yeah. I think for me, the Lakers are one of the most winningest franchises in NBA history. So it's not so much that I hate the Lakers. I just hate what they've become. I hate what they've turned into as a result of bringing someone like LeBron James to their organization. And, it's just become a circus of celebrity. It's more, we're watching a reality show, the Kardashians. We're not watching, basketball. The reason why I don't like LeBron James is because his career has been manufactured and he's created a divide in basketball. Basketball and sports in general, they're supposed to bring people together. Growing up, that's what it did. Whether you hated a team or hated a particular player, that was sports culture. You were supposed to hate players. Knicks fans hated Michael Jordan. But we didn't really hate him as a person, but those are the kind of narratives that are spewed in today's, kind of NBA where, people are hating on someone. They rooted for him to lose. That's basketball culture. People are supposed to root for you to lose. Stop crying. He started crying probably, what was it, like 2008, about how everybody was rooting for him to lose and all this stuff. And, that was kind of the start of me sort of disliking him. And then Bronny,
do you think
the integrity of the sport is completely ruined? I mean, he's manufactured every single title. Think about it. LeBron trades himself to a team. Then mysteriously that first year he gets there, they don't win anything. And then the next year, all of a sudden they win. And why is that? Because coaches had to get fired. Teammates had to be traded. Think about how many careers have been left in the dust, completely and totally ruined in the wake of LeBron James. Whatever happened to Isaiah Thomas? He was a star point guard for the Celtics, goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and surprise, surprise, he wants to do his job. He wants to play in his point guard role that he's been, contracted to do. But of course, playing alongside LeBron James means that you're not allowed to play your game because he has so many holes in his game. All he's going to be able to do is grab the ball, run full head of steam down the court, bum rush the lane, and that's the game. So guys can't play. They have to become a catch and shoot player. Point guards are no longer allowed to play in their position, even wings. No one is actually allowed to play in their role when they play with LeBron James. So I don't like what he's done to the sport. You see Caitlin Clark playing like that. You see Luka Doncic playing this way. You see Nikola Jokic playing this way. These guys are hoarding points, rebounds, and assists, turning the ball over with abandon. That's not good basketball. That's not team basketball. And then we have to take a look at, the fact that there's so many like really great talents that we never get to really see it because of star ball. Star ball, it equates to brawn ball. And it's just not good. It's not good basketball. It's not a good brand of basketball. That's why the ratings are down. Not just because of the 3-point shot. It's because when you think about what a point guard does, when you think about what a shooting guard does, nobody's doing it anymore. The existent, like Draymond Green is a fucking center. This is a joke.
And a point guard.
That's what I'm trying to say. Because players have holes in their games and they don't take the offseason to actually work on that, this is why we're seeing this brand of basketball that we have today. This is why ratings are down. So
do you think that Bronny James should have been drafted? Because we said this like the other day, maybe like 2 streams ago, and a bunch of people were saying, oh, no, he should be there. I really don't think he's done anything. I think the only reason why he's in the NBA is obviously because of his father. But do you even think he's even worthy enough to even be drafted?
No, absolutely not. I think that it hurts the integrity of the sport. And, I'm okay with him having a job in the NBA, but drafted? Why did we need the draft spectacle? He shouldn't have been drafted at all. And people want to sit here and denigrate the 55th pick. Martel, do you have any family members that would have changed their life?
Absolutely.
What about you, Amir? Do you know anybody that would have loved to have been the 55th pick in the draft, that needed that opportunity way more, that deserved that opportunity to hear their name called? So that's the problem that I have with it. It's not about nepotism, because nepotism actually, it's supposed to apply to people who are qualified. It's just like, you said, Amir, that you worked in tech for years, right? The CEO of a company can go ahead and hire his son or, his daughter and whatnot, maybe over someone else that's also qualified, that might have been more qualified, but you need to know something about it. You can't just, come in, do a shit job, not show and prove that you don't belong, and people are just supposed to accept it. So it's not mainly that, I'm not going to say that Bronny just shouldn't be in the NBA at all, because obviously we've seen players maybe that shouldn't be there that are there, right? We've seen NBA busts before. We've seen guys that were great in college that completely tanked as a pro. So, Bronny James could get better. He could, but I don't agree with him being drafted at the 55th pick, taking a roster spot, a guaranteed 4-year contract from another player that was more deserving. He snatched Quincy Oliveri's contract from him. There were more deserving players.
Now, when you talk about Caitlin Clark, there was a bunch of people who, they were hating on her the whole season. And it's crazy because we always talk about, people should be supporting the WNBA, but their own women who are in the sport were not supporting her. Like, if anything, they were knocking her down, pretty much beating her up almost every single game. So what do you think about Caitlin Clark this past season? I think she was phenomenal. I think that she brought the WA to another level just with her, logo 3-point shooting. We haven't seen that, and she brought something different to the WNBA. So how do you feel about Caitlin Clark?
So I think, and and love the channel, love that you guys have me here, but I do disagree with you to those points, because we did see it. You might not have seen it, Amir. You might not have seen it. Folks who never watched the WNBA might not have seen it, but girls had been shooting from the logo. Sabrina Ionescu, she was not in the 3-point competition with Steph Curry for no reason. She was there because of that. Jewel Lloyd had been shooting from the logo. Again, when you see an American, what people are calling Caitlin Clark, they're calling her a thoroughbred. Okay, she is a straight white woman from the middle, Midwest, that was balling, that played for an Iowa team that wasn't good. She was basically what Caitlin Clark did at Iowa is what Bronny James was supposed to do at USC. He played for a shit team. He should have been shining. So that's the thing with Caitlin Clark. She's good. I think she's a great player. But you want to know what other record she broke last year? All-time record for, turnovers. She does not handle the ball well. She cannot handle the ball under defensive pressure. She struggled mightily halfway through the WNBA season. She cannot defend either. So, we can't just sit there and ignore that, So saying that she's phenomenal when she plays half of a game, for me, that's a bit of a stretch. And there are just much better players. A'ja Wilson is the best player in the world. Prior to Caitlin Clark coming into the league, there were more eyes on the women's sports. Paige Beckers was, she was one of those women as well. She got injured before it was, a rivalry of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It was her and Paige Beckers. They were fighting for that top spot of, who was, that the person that everybody wanted to see. So, I think there's going to be a continuation of more women coming out, and there's going to be a more of a spotlight on the sport. But I absolutely credit Caitlin Clark for, the surge in the viewership last year, but she's not the only one responsible for that. Angel Reese had a big part of that as well. But there's what happened in the WNBA is that a lot of men who spectate the sport, who just started spectating the sport last year, made it about women being jealous of each other. That is a very simple take. That's one of the most simplest things that a person could say about a woman's sport. You don't hear those kinds of things in the NBA. You don't hear those kinds of things when you're talking about men. So it shouldn't be inserted into the women's league either. They're competing. Those women, they were told that Caitlin Clark was the best. What are you going to do when you're facing somebody that is saying that they're the best? She wasn't saying she's the best, but everybody was saying she was the best. You're going to compete. You want to show that that really it's you that's the best. So all she did was create a more competitive environment amongst WNBA players. And that's what they did. They competed. They weren't in there beating her up. If you go and take a look and you just Google WNBA brawls, I want you to Google that and tell me what you find. What Caitlin Clark faced in this past season was nothing. I want to tell you nothing. They did not beat her up. Okay. A little hip check. That's very normal in WNBA. And honestly, the things that happen in the WNBA, much worse. They are a very physical league. They play like 80s NBA basketball. And that shouldn't change for Caitlin Clark. If we're going to change those rules for her, it takes away from why people are actually watching it and why they're not watching the NBA now.
100%.
Hey, Dominique, man, listen, I just want to give you a big claps, man, because I needed to hear that, because a lot of people don't understand this, man. They don't understand this type of stuff about the WNBA and about the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and there was players way before, a lot of great talent. But talking about Angel Reese, how do you feel about Angel Reese? One, about her game, because her percentage is not the greatest. And do you think she is going to succeed long term? Like, do you think if she doesn't work on this jump shot or get better offensively, can she maintain as like a global piece? And I know her podcast, and she was already global before, but do you think she can just keep as a WNBA standard as being a great player? Do you think she can continue to be that if she doesn't improve her offensive game? And how do you truly feel about her? Because she gets a lot of hate on the internet and social media and stuff like that. So I just kind of want to see how you feel about her.
Dom, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I think because she's able to hustle and get her own damn rebound, she will have long-term success. I mean, I would have put her on the Olympic team this past season and not Caitlin Clark. They could have used her. I would have swapped Brittany Griner with Angel Reese, and we would have seen better success. She would have been playable in the fourth quarter and not Brittany Griner. She can defend the perimeter as well as the paint. She can get rebounds, her own rebounds. So yeah, she misses all these shots and she can still get her own rebounds. So, but she's begging for girls to box her out. So yes, I do think that she can sustain success just because of how hard she works on the defensive end and the offensive end. She can actually shoot the ball. She just doesn't shoot it enough. It seems like what is she? She's farsighted. It's like closer to the rim she gets, she can't shoot. Further from the rim, she can hit 3-pointers at will. She's not as bad of a shooter as we think that she is, but also she has an injury in her leg. So she has like a rod in her leg or something, and that's why she can't really jump. So the fact that she can't jump and she's playing like this, I have a lot of confidence in her, and I think she's only going to get better. Plus, she has a lot of WNBA and NBA legends behind her that work with her, that have her back. So, I think she's going to continue to get better and better. But my God, you're right, Trent. I mean, she is god awful with those fucking layups. I just want to see her hit her layups. I am tired of seeing her miss those shots, but I love the fact that she is a hustler. She fights and battles it out for her rebounds. I'm not going to sit there and credit Caitlin Clark for a triple-double when she's getting those easy rebounds because she's just hanging out in the corner guarding the weakest shooter, and she's getting those long rebounds. Angel Reese is in the paint battling. She's going to be successful.
I love it. And I know this is kind of going back to what you said before we got into the WNBA, but I was hearing you talk about LeBron James, and you said LeBron James makes people around him that play different roles. And so I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, if you didn't know. And so when Russ was on the Lakers, Russ, we all know, needs the ball in his hand. And when he does not have the ball in his hand and he's playing quarter, or he has to shoot or catch and shoot, that's not his game. So when I heard you say that, I was smiling, because I'm just like, man, they try to ruin my boy Russ's career going to LA because LeBron wants the ball in his hand, and it just wasn't a good fit. But talking about LeBron has been gone for the last 2-3 games, and you don't got to answer this question. There might be some truth to it, but there might not. A lot of people are saying LeBron's just taking a step back because he's getting old, his body can't handle it, and that might be the truth. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what's going on in the world. LeBron, do you think LeBron's involved in this whole Diddy situation and he's just trying to step away real quick?
Well, I think there's two different things happening. I think that LeBron, is taking a little trip to the Balco chambers or something like that. He's like, juicing up for, getting ready to drop another 40-point performance or something like that. And then I also think that he's just trying to, perhaps he's waiting for a deposition. Who knows? He could be trying to deal with the Diddy situation behind closed doors. There's a lot of allegations surrounding LeBron. There's more and more people coming out against him. But, I think that he's really just taking this time actually to rest his body and, do whatever treatments he does, in order to get ready for coming back.
Yeah, I don't follow the pop culture close enough. Obviously, I'm aware of all the Diddy allegations and whatnot, but I don't know.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
That's what he said. I mean, he seems like a good dude, but there's a lot of good people in the history who became serial killers, and you never know, right? You can never know.
You just don't know.
You just don't know, right? Like, you could have the perfect life, but you could be a complete fraud. But I don't think that.
I don't want to believe these things about him. I don't want to believe that, he is involved in a PED scandal. I don't want to believe that he's involved with Diddy and what's going on there. I hope that he's totally clean in that, because regardless of how I feel about LeBron James, he's still one of our Black heroes, one of our Black sports heroes. And I just, for the story of basketball, for the legacy of the NBA, and just the last 22 years that he's been playing basketball, I wouldn't want him to go down as a cheat or as a potential, trafficker.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. He cares about his community. He seems to give back a lot. Obviously, he built that university. Like, he seems like a philanthropist, and he said that, like,
that university was a failure, though.
Fraudulent.
Yeah. So it's like a fraudulent school. Like, the principal slapped a kid. Everybody that goes there, I think they've all they pretty much failed out of school. There's no, the I Promise school failed. And I'm not saying that's LeBron's fault. I'm just saying that, I don't know how much he truly cares either, is what I'm saying. Like, I just don't really know. I want to believe in LeBron. I want to believe that he has good intentions, but, even just seeing this whole situation with Bronny, taking an opportunity from someone else that was like yourself. LeBron comes from, just a different background. He wasn't always rich. So why would you take an opportunity from someone that, it could have changed their life, when your son did not need this at all? He could have done anything. He could have still been in the league, but you took a roster spot from somebody else. So when you tell me that he cares about his community, I just don't know how much.
Yeah. And to touch on that last piece too, it's like, even if he went undrafted, he could have told the NBA, hey, I'm LeBron James. I get to pick he's the GM for a reason. He's going to say, hey, don't pick up my son. But they could have got him as an undrafted player.
That's what I'm saying.
Someone else could have got that. No one gets a guaranteed contract in the second round. It's happened before, but it's very rare. So like he didn't need that $4 to $6 million. Obviously, his dad's a billionaire or going to be a billionaire. So I love that you brought that up too, because a guy like Kershaw Johnson on the Miami Heat, a guy from Oakland, from the Bay Area, struggling. Like he is an undrafted player, doesn't have a guaranteed contract. Like he could have used that guarantee spot, not money.
Look at him fighting for it. Look at him fighting for that,
Right.
So that's the problem that I have with LeBron. He's an entitled player that manufactured his own career, and now he's manufacturing his son's career. And who knows, maybe even Bryce will be next. And, I'm hoping that LeBron James will retire before that should happen. And, maybe he'll be an owner of a team and he'll just throw Bryce on it. I just want the spectacles to end. That's the main thing.
Hopefully it will soon. We'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for hopping on our podcast today. Really appreciate it. And before we do hop off, do you want to let the audience know again a little more about your YouTube channel, where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find me at Sports T on Facebook, X, as well as Instagram, on YouTube at Sports T as well. And yeah, I'm just here to cover sports and NBA specifically. But yeah, come check me out. Talk to me nice.
Thank you again.
Thank you.